How long were you an associate for from that age till then becoming an agent?
So I didn't even get to start as an associate. It was a...
Can we do like a pretend listing presentation just for 5 minutes?
Okay.
And I just ask you some questions. We're in here, right? I'm in your house. You said you did a lot of door knocking.
Yeah.
When you were in that first year, 2 years, how much door knocking do you think is appropriate for a new agent?
Back in the day, it was like 2 till 5:30.
What other things did you do to just really get this 800 homes and really just grab hold of that market share?
It was mainly just the consistency.
Agents, welcome to the Get Keen podcast, your number one destination for learning how to get the most out of your real estate career. I'm Dan Lee, founder of Plum Property, one of Queensland's largest independent real estate offices, and Plum Partners, where we've helped dozens of agents create, run and grow their very own agencies. On Get Keen, I chat to high-performing agents, principals, and agency owners, so you have the tools, strategies, and insights to grow your business and live the best life for yourself and your family. Now let's get keen. Ladies and gentlemen, you're here for a great chat with an absolute legend in real estate. Female. It's our third female on the show. And I am so excited to hear the journey of this amazing lady. We are talking about someone who's so high up in the Ray White organization. This is a company that has many, many superstars. And it's great to see amazing women in real estate rise through the ranks and do the amount of business that this lady is doing. I'm talking about Angela Duncan, Chairman Elite for Ray White for the last 5 years. That's in excess of $1.5 million of GCI. These are numbers that so many people just dream of. So we're going to be talking with Angela today about her journey and how to get there. Angela, fist bump me. Thank you for coming all this way.
That's a hell of an intro.
Yeah, from the other side of town. I didn't think she'd pick up my call because who takes Dan Lee's calls? No one. But she didn't have my number saved and probably thought I was a potential listing, and I got her, and now she's here. Thanks for your time.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. I wanted to start with your journey because you started like everyone else right at the bottom. And you started quite young, didn't you?
I actually started real estate when I was 15. I did a sales-based traineeship grade 11 and 12. I went to an office on a Monday and a Saturday instead of flipping burgers. And then when I finished grade 12, I started a Ray White cadetship and literally was there ever since.
Geez, that's as young as you can get,
yeah.
You know. Were you making wallets in the back of the...
I was running the reception, folding letters. It was a long time ago doing Excel spreadsheets. So, yeah.
So that would have been 17 that you started as an associate? That's really young.
Yeah, straight out of school, I was, different time. They used to have a whole prospecting team, obviously. But started just on the phones for months.
So how long were you an associate for from that age till then becoming an agent?
So I didn't even get to start as an associate. It was a complete prospecting role for the first 6 months. So half your day on the phones, half your day door knocking. At that point, there was a guy that was literally paid to sit in the car and watch you door knock and make sure you did it. So I did that for the first 6 months and then became an associate to a sales manager at the time. I did that for I think it was about 6 to 8 months. And at the time I was a bit cocky and I met someone that said they wanted to sell a house and I went out and listed it and came back and was like, I'm an agent now. So I just kind of decided that was when I was going to be an agent. So I think I was almost 19 at the time.
I think I can see that confidence just beaming through you now. You've always just had this, don't tell me what I can't do
actually have a
attitude.
Now. Yeah.
So you were 19 when you became an established agent, listing and selling on your own.
I was listing at 18 and then I hired my first PA when I was 19. So
Holy
we were like,
shit.
We were into it.
There's no way anyone would have listed their house with me when I was 19. I looked like a
I lost
11-year-old
a few as well,
child.
but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at 19, what were the challenge? Did you have challenges of being too young?
Definitely. I regularly would come up against a couple of opponents that would literally say to a client, she's living at home. Why are you going to give your biggest asset to someone this or, but the beauty of that was the more that people would go into a listing pitch fearful and talk about me, it made the client be like, why is this 35-year-old man worrying about an 18-year-old girl? Why are they freaking out? And also, I guess my demographic was quite entry level. So they weren't afraid of that. Or often a lot of my clients were a bit older than me, but went, well, we worked our way up and we started young and they weren't afraid for the most part.
So you just figured it out by just with confidence.
Yeah,
Just
and I
made confidence
overworked.
your
Like,
friend. And
I studied the hell out of the market and what was happening. So definitely acted as if I was selling everything in the suburb when I wasn't. And when I made it to the table, made sure I sounded like I knew it. So it worked.
That's so cool. Did you like find that being young was even an issue?
I think it was, but my approach was I'm quite a direct person, so I would really enter the room and basically say, look, elephant in the room is I look young, I am young, but if I can tell you about my experience and I've been in real estate a couple of years and this is what I do and this is what I know, and really just make sure that from that point they've kind of handled that. Otherwise, the entire time you're in the meeting, they're going to be thinking, yeah, but how old is she? How old is she? Like, it just get it over and done with, and then most of the time you can kind of move on.
That's so good. So just bringing up the potential issues that you can see a client thinking before they are even thinking it and getting it out of the way.
Get their attention back. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So what did you focus on? I mean, like calls, door knocks, like what sort of script would you use? What are you looking for? People who are selling?
Yeah, so I kind of fell into focusing on one estate that was down the road from the office, and I guess old school before we kind of knew what a database was, I just used to look at every street and how many phone numbers do we have and door knock and send letters to the rest and just kind of slowly built on that. I used to do like a monthly mail out, a lot cheaper to mail out then, but we used to send everything out and then just slowly built up a little bit of more and more market share until it kind of
What sort did you
exploded.
focus on, a section or an amount of homes?
It was an estate that at the time had about 800 homes.
Okay. And that's all you focused on?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wasn't sort of exposed to anyone outside of that area. So it had relatively good turnover. It went from getting one in there a month to two in there a month and then, kind of continued. That area, I still sort of sell a fair bit in there, but I'm kind of one suburb over now for my main sort of market
So
share.
you just absolutely hammered 800 homes and just made that your mission.
Yeah.
Everyone in this 800 little block here is going to know
I want to know who they
Angela-
are. And every house that came up, I would just, obviously, if it wasn't with me, just work out everything about it. So when I got in the door, like I said, they sort of thought that I sold it because I knew them back to front.
Knew everything about it. So you'd be the agent that would tell everyone about the new home that another agent's listed, and then even the sale result when it's sold.
And I used to put it in my market review every month, like before people would dob you in for that. It was just like, these are all the sales and it doesn't matter who sold it and no one would know any different.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with advertising recent sales in the marketplace. It's only wrong saying that you sold them.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you're just giving info about what's been happening in the market. And you know what? Like, you were just doing the job that the other agent probably didn't do.
Yeah.
You were getting the information out there. That's your job.
Yeah.
Right? So what other things did you do to just really get this 800 homes, like, and really just grab hold of that market share?
It was mainly just the consistency. So like phone calls, it was old school comparing white pages and RP data or going through everything. So it was just street by street. And like I said, that consistent once a month in the drops and in the letters going out. And then all of a sudden it was like, if you missed one or it was a week late, someone would call you and be like, yo, where's your market update this month? So it was a fairly heavily like 50% investor share at the time. So that was huge because all the investors have them for 10 to 15 years. They make their money, they're ready to go, but they also don't get calls. So they love the mail because you can't reach them anyway.
Yeah.
And it just took off. And then that really has been a big part of my like business anyway, even as I sort of evolved areas. Like I probably haven't missed a quarter. I wouldn't have missed a quarter in my like core area for probably nearly 12 years like the marketing to go out.
Yeah, obviously one of your key marketing strategies. I'd love to touch on that a bit more in a little bit, but I really want to get into more of this grit, right? Because you're a young girl, you're 19, you look real young. People's confidence is going to immediately be questioning this because of your age and stuff. But you're just gung-ho. You said you did a lot of door knocking.
Yeah.
So how many, like when you were in that first like year, 2 years, or even beyond, even today, like how much door knocking do you think is appropriate for a new agent? Like what should
It's hard. I mean, I think the landscape's changed.
Well?
I in honesty, like I don't door knock. My team don't currently have door knocking as part of our business. I think it's just changed a lot. But back in the day, it was like 2 till 5:30.
Yeah.
There was just as much as you can do. You wear through shoes and just keep going. And it was super basic. And I admit, like even now, we fumbled our way through every phone call, through every door knock. It was just do it. And even if you do it bad, it's better than someone not doing it.
Yeah.
And it was just, hey, this one's sold down the road. Do you guys have any interest? Have you ever thought about moving? How can I help you today? But just that repetitive nature. I remember the template it was awful. I printed them myself. I
yeah,
did it up in
yeah.
Word Art and did it myself.
But, you know, like just seeing you, even if they say no to you, and then next week they see a listing from you in the area, and then they see you walking around the streets,
Yeah.
letterbox dropping, and they're just always seeing you. And I love it how you had such a small patch, because so
Yeah.
many agents that come into this business and go, I want to be the
Take a whole
master
suburb.
of
Yeah.
this whole half the city.
Yeah.
And or they've got like 10,000 homes they're working on. You're never going to be.
It's hard to be intimate on every skip bin
No.
in 10,000 homes
Yeah.
or which person's got an overgrown yard. It's just impossible.
Yeah. So starting small, so important. Alex Jordan said the same. He worked something like 1,200 homes. You worked even less, 800 homes. Become the master of a small area,
Yeah.
and then expand from there.
Yeah.
So then what's your team look like today?
I have 3 full-time staff at the moment. So I have an EA who does all the contracts and marketing and sort of client liaison stuff. I have a full-time buyer's agent. So really, like, we do a lot of auctions, but really her job's to make sure the bidders are there and does all the buyer follow-up and all the inquiries. And then I have a sales associate who's basically all stock in, so manages all the prospecting and manages all pipeline and that kind of thing with me.
Okay. And then what do you find your week consists of mainly? So now, because it's a lot different from back then, you were
it's
knocking
super-
on
yeah.
doors and dropping flyers. Now
Yeah.
you've got a team doing that kind of stuff. What is the life of a 1.5 million plus
Yeah.
agent look like now?
We're very strategic now. It's funny because you feel like some days you don't have control, but then when you break it down, we are. So, I mean, obviously Saturdays are open homes, all follow up on a Saturday afternoon. Monday is all hands on deck for follow up, feedback, vendor meetings we probably carry 15 to 20 pieces of stock, so that's a full-time job on a Monday. Often the girls are handling that, and during the morning I'm listing pictures on a Monday. Tuesday we auction in rooms. We do auctions at 11. So basically from the minute you get to work, it's lining up bidders. Auctions are probably from 11 till 1. And then if everything's sold in the afternoon, Alyssa's back to prospecting. If there's anything that didn't sell, Christy's back on the phones generating, the traffic. Wednesday's far more proactive. It's like our week kind of chills out by Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's a lot more prospecting, listing pictures again. Thursdays are Twilight open homes, and we redo the vendor reports, so they're twice a week.
Yeah.
Friday, try to catch a minute if there's anything, catch up, or try not to be in the office, work from home, and then back to Saturdays.
And then back to the big Saturday show day. Like, I love it how you say it feels like we're out of control, but we actually are in control.
Yeah.
So what systems and strategies, like what systems have you put together just to make this chaos be as smooth as possible?
I mean, I personally don't believe in an ideal week because I'm like a tornado, but I think it's just having the basic framework for each day, and then everyone knows sort of what the basics are. And then Mel, who kind of run things behind the scenes, she runs like the super strict checklists and makes sure that this needs to happen today, this needs to happen today, and kind of runs a bit more management behind the scenes. But I'm old school. I'll send like a Sunday night email being like, here's all our stock, here's what I need done this week, here's what pictures we have this week, here's what follow-ups due this week, and then that's it. And then the girls will use like, the programs that will track and record all of your calls. Yeah.
Sounds like you've got like communication is really important when you've built this team. Checklists, as you mentioned, making sure that everything's been done on every
Just
property.
like pretty strict roles too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Everyone knows their responsibility. I think that's the most important part. I don't like micromanagement. I don't have time or capacity to be like, how many calls did you make today? And like, have you done things? Like, the expectation is that if I email you a task, or if you email me saying, please call a client, it's done. There's no, did it happen? When did it happen? It's just, it's off everyone's plate. But we probably evaluate this once every 6 months or maximum 12 months. And I've done this always with my teams I've had the last couple of years. Is from day one, it was what's everything that I want to happen in my business and who does it? And back when I was 19, it was me. And then when I got my first PA, it was like, okay, palm a few things off. And as that's grown, we just basically move things column to column. And sometimes in different markets, we move jobs to different people. Or when you hire someone and their skill set is different to your last PA, then you have to evolve again. So just make sure that everything's getting done and it's with the right person.
I love that. I love this, like, just the strict standards that you have for your team.
Yeah.
And I love it that it's not just on your team. You mentioned if I've asked my team member to do something, or they've asked me to do something, consider it done.
Yeah.
If they say, oh, you need to call this seller, I was just doing some calls and they want to speak to you, it's like they only have to ask you once and
Yeah.
you lead by example.
Accountability piece, like if you, and obviously not perfect, that if ever there was a time before where that's happened and you just feel gutted, like that was their lead, they did the work, they did everything you asked them for, and you missed the window or you sent the information too late or something, it's just, you've got to buy that loyalty and you've got to have that like respect both ways.
Hey guys, just quickly, if you're loving this content and you're a real estate agent that's already thinking what it might be like to have your own real estate business and brand, then check out the show notes. There'll be a link to our Plum Partners website where you can leave an inquiry and me or one of my team members will reach out. We help agents to create, run, and grow their own real estate business and brand so they can earn more and set up a better future for themselves. So get keen, get in touch. Now let's get back to the episode. I hear you have an all-female team.
I do.
So 4 ladies.
Including me, yeah.
That's very rare. I don't even actually know of another all-female that is four people.
Yeah.
So is that like a strategic move you made?
I think it kind of happened by accident. I mostly in my sort of 16 years have had male staff, bar 2. But as, like, to be honest, I sort of mentioned outside post-COVID, during COVID, I had 4 young guys, mostly like 18 to 25, I think. And for the pace that we were in and for what we were doing, like that was the right move because everyone was like work 15 hours a day and just basically just chasing a deal at all times. But when we sort of reflected on that year and went, okay, what could we have done better? I'm quite blunt and move quite fast. And I felt like maybe the customer service aspect and like the touchy-feely, make people feel good aspect was just dropped and respectfully not as good sometimes with a male staff. So we kind of consciously were like, let's hire someone that just is like the yin to my yang kind of thing, like can be a lot more emotional and just thinks of things to be more intimate with the clients. That just makes that customer service that little bit better, particularly because I deal with the sellers and I think, they respect if you're a bulldog and that, you say what you mean. But other people, we deal with a lot of first homeowners. They need you to hold their hand. They need you to call them an extra couple of times a week, which is cool. And again, I put that on the list of it needs to happen in my business, but it's probably not something that I can manage. So we transitioned into a little bit more of a female team, plus just finding the right person at the right time. And I was really worried because I was really aggressive with the boys and there was very much like, you make a mistake, I'll whip you back into line. But you can't really manage the same way when you have a female team. But it's actually been awesome. And I think also like being a mum as my kids have got older, having females that kind of just even remember that I've got kids and I would love to have an afternoon off now and then, even if I haven't asked for it. It's been like really good for me as well to just have that support to go, why don't you go hang out with the kids this afternoon? Like you've done enough.
Yeah.
So it's just
awesome.
nice.
So
We've got each
how
other's
many kids
back.
have you got?
I've got 2. I've got a now 8-year-old and my son turned 6 yesterday.
6. And you've been doing this for 17 years.
Yeah.
So you had kids when you were already pretty successful, like fairly like close to chairman elite status.
I'm trying to think. I think I was like just around $1 million GCR with
So
my daughter.
imagine that, like having a baby is so intense,
wild.
right? It's a wild ride from a female's perspective as well. Like the it's all on you.
You can only prepare so much, I think. Yeah.
So like what happened? Like because you got you got a rolling business, you got momentum, and I'm sure a lot of like women are like kind of scared about what's going to happen to their career when they have the baby.
Yeah.
How did it all unfold?
It was terrifying.
Did it affect your business? How did it? Walk us through
It's weird because it never affects the business the way you think it was. So I had 2 full-time staff at the time and they were really good and they knew that they were going to have to step up. So to the best of your ability, you kind of line up the pipeline, or I worked like right up until my daughter was born, and which I don't recommend, but you're like right up just trying to do as many last deals as possible.
Yeah.
And I wanted to come back to work fairly quickly after she was born. I think I sort of did the first couple of listing pitches maybe like 6 weeks after or something. Have like mum watch the kid for like an hour or so. So that was like full on. I probably don't recommend it. But the biggest difference was like once you navigate all the like mum guilt and all the hormones and everything, it was for me when my business actually really skyrocketed because I became so much more conscious of my time. So when I was like, okay, I mentally want to go back a couple of hours a day. If my daughter is going to be with my mum or with her dad or at childcare and I come to work and someone wants to like mosey into my office and like have a chat, nah, get out. Like I'm here to do my calls and do a couple of meetings and then I'm going to go be with my kid. Like I don't want to be here to just talk shit and waste time. And that was a really big difference for me, where I just got so much more strict with myself and just dropped a lot of, bullshit time wasting. Like, you think you're busy and then you have a reason to like cull everything down into a shorter time frame. And it was just like a massive difference. And the way I managed my team and delegated, that's really where a lot of my career sort of took off.
Wow, yeah, because you started to get to the chairman elite status really not long after you had the child, where most people would think, oh, that's the time where you're going to crash.
Yeah.
And maybe like quite a lot of women probably do crash because it's so difficult.
It's hard to juggle.
It's hard. It's mentally challenging. So amazing that you got through all of that and actually grew from there with did you have any down period in there, or did you still manage to keep some pretty good?
I think I had a small dip, around the time she was probably, by the time it's 3 to 6 months down the track. But no, not really. It was kind of pretty rapid growth.
And then you threw a second child into the mix not long after?
No,
so
not long after. By that point, you're like, how hard is it? And that was probably more challenging. But I mean, my son was born early 2019 and then COVID kicked off a year later. So probably the hardest part of that is lockdowns and a 1-year-old and the market on drugs.
Yeah.
That's probably more where the challenging part came from.
Wow. This is inspirational because I reckon there's heaps of female agents or, potentially people that want to get into real estate, but they're, in their early 20s or whatever, and they don't have kids.
Yeah.
And they either avoid getting into real estate because they know, as soon as I have kids, it's all over. And then there's other agents that are doing really well, and they're probably scared to have a kid because they're like, my momentum's going to die. My business, everything I've worked for is going to die.
Yeah.
And here is living proof that it's all a mindset. You can get through it. Sure, it's going to be really hard. And you're not saying that it was easy at all. It would have been so challenging, but you can do both.
Yeah.
You can do both successfully.
I always said, honestly, 70% of the time it was like clockwork and everything went to plan. And then 30% of the time it was a shit show. And it's probably not any different now, but that's really how it worked, trying to juggle babies in a big business. So
with the all-female team, do you think that's worked as a strategic, a marketing strategy?
It has, but it's so funny because I don't even think about it. And then you'll go for a listing pitch and someone will be like, oh, it's the all-girl team. And I'm like, oh, yeah, the girls. I didn't even think about that. It sort of naturally fell like that. And then obviously it's work whatever angle you've got. So I do think in real estate in general, it's an advantage to be a female agent because I do think you can trend between being, a bulldog and so direct and super salesy. And then you can go between, being more emotional and being able to connect on a different level that I think is probably considered more genuine sometimes than a male can. So it's a huge advantage. But having the girls in the background's been really good for us all, to be honest.
That's awesome. So outside of that, which seems to be an accidental marketing strategy, what's the best marketing strategy you've ever put into your business?
To be honest, I do think it is just relating to teams. I have always probably had more staff than other people for the same GCI or more staff in general. I think I mentioned to you, I believe that if I maybe didn't have kids, that I probably would be able to have the capacity of write the same GCI with one less person. So I'm always thinking that your best marketing strategy is just to have people and just to make sure that they're the right people doing the right job. So as we've kind of perfected that structure over time, that's what's given me capacity and that's what's, put me in front of more clients or had more client experience to kind of come back to in referrals.
So scaling your business has been your biggest marketing strategy.
Yeah, I'm personally I don't do videos, I don't have billboards, I don't have internet banners all my friends do. It's just, but I've always had really precision teams and really high expectations and high standards for the people that work for me, and it's always paid off. And then you enjoy coming to work and people have your back. It's just, that's always what's worked for me.
I'd love to hear you in front of a client because you're very engaging and you're very well spoken. Can we do a pretend listing presentation just for 5 minutes?
Okay.
And I just ask you some questions? We're in here, right? I'm in your house. You're in my house.
I was going to say, you're
in
I'll
my
be
house.
the agent. Yeah.
You be the agent. I'm just asking you some questions.
Okay.
I'm interested in you and your team, but I'm interviewing a couple of agents. But Angela, thanks for coming in. Why should I choose your team over some of the other agents I've had in?
Look, I think there's obviously some great agents that work in the area. What my team bring to the table that is probably unique to us is we do have the size. So having multiple people that all have their jobs, I think for us, having a dedicated buyer's agent role to make sure that people's inquiries and their inspections are followed up, faster than anyone else or more available than anyone else. My experience and my team's experience for not just the area, but for the market itself, and having begun in markets that was certainly more challenging, means that maybe we are able to, look at things a little bit more like less organic. Like we'll make sure that we're thinking about everything in a bigger picture. And then probably our structure around sales. So obviously we're doing a lot of auctions now, and that's been a big transition for my business, where I don't believe there is one strategy that fits all, but certainly we've changed that over different markets as well. So I do more auctions now, but 2 years ago I didn't. Right now, the advice I'm going to give you is because we're selling 100 homes a year. So our advice is based on what's happening in the market right now in real time. And when that changes, when you come to the market, then my advice will change for you as well. So
okay. Yeah, nice. That's good advice. I've had a few agents through, as I've told you. Your appraisal, it's come in at around $1 million, you mentioned before. We're not interested in selling for anything less than 1.1.
okay. That's fantastic. And to be honest, that's probably what I expected.
Yeah.
I guess the way we market properties is certainly, my appeal is I would rather come into and be like fairly no bullshit. And based on the sales we're looking at, I think feedback's going to start around that number. What's achievable is really going to come down to how well we do our job. And it would be very normal for every client to, have an expectation in mind. But until you get out there, until you can see what we can do, I think it's going to be very difficult for you to make a decision. What my team can do and what we have sort of the data to show you is the inspection numbers and the offer numbers and the bidder numbers to deliver you the best possible outcome. But you can only make a decision once that's in front of you and once you can consider all those things. The number that you're having in mind, is that based on anything, or is that just where,
well, we've had a look around at what's on the market, and we think that, it is and another agent certainly said that they think that we can achieve that.
Yeah, fantastic. And to be honest, everyone's approach to pricing is very different. To be honest, I prefer to underpromise and overdeliver. Other agents might come in differently, but I think at the end of the day, if you're picking an agent that's giving you an appraisal figure you want to hear, that might still not be the best agent that's going to go out and make that dream a reality. So what we bring to the table in terms of a proposal for the team and the experience and the structure, if you pick the agent that is going to be best equipped for your home, you'll get the most amount of money regardless. If you pick the agent that gives you, the highest appraisal without any backing to how they're going to get it, it might be something that, falls down a little bit down the track.
Do you think we can get 1.1?
Yeah, I'd love to try for it. If it's out there, we'll be able to get it.
Okay.
But I, again, won't promise you a number if we're not going to be, we can't guarantee you any number.
So what should we do to get the 1.1?
In my opinion, we would be going back through a 3-week auction campaign. And obviously, if you've got 3 buyers that are talking around the recent sales that are between $1 and $1.1 million, if it's out there, then you'll get that and more.
We're not really comfortable with auction. We don't like auctions.
That's okay. Well, the auction discussion is probably a bigger one for another time. But if you're, in those early stages, the price itself cannot be your only decision about going to market.
So you think we should go to auction though?
That would be my guarantee. If you have 3 agents out and asking for all their opinions and it was my house, I would be recommending that. But you can't decide off a small conversation. We'd want to go into tailor making that campaign for yourself.
Okay. Why do you recommend auction over just like, we were just thinking putting, we want 1.1.
Yeah.
So we were just thinking price it at 1.15. We don't want tire kickers.
Yeah.
We're not interested in any of these lowball offers. So we were just thinking price it at 1.15 and see how we go.
To be honest, I haven't put a list price on a property for probably 5 years. So in my experience in my market, if you put a price on the property, we're in a really hot time. You can still have a dozen people through. You can have offers. You're always going to look at the what if factor. So if you sell it in 7 days and you get what you want, there's a lot of agents that would be cheering, going, well done, pat on the back to me. In my experience, I don't want you to have an offer on the table in the first 2 days that you're deciding whether you do or don't, and you're paying $25,000 to someone for the sake of it. I prefer sample size. When I started real estate, it used to take 3-4 months to sell someone's house. I was part of the family before you get to the decision. So we would rather you have a couple of weeks, which is still a very short period of time, to get people through, to find out what they think, to find out what the premium buyer is, and have that opportunity if more is out there. And if it's not out there, if I'm sitting across the table from you at a point of making a decision, then I want you to be able to have all of the information and I can make you a recommendation that is genuine, and then you can decide what's best for your family. But the reason for auction, Obviously depends on circumstance, but for us, it's let's get a few people through. Let's get sample size. Offers, I would rather you say no to 10 offers than get no offer at all. But on the same token, if you don't sell in 1 week and you've been on the market for 14 days in our market, then I need to come and tap you on the shoulder and say, let's drop the price. So that can be 5%, it can be 10%. People are so fast to drop $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 off their list price. With the auction, I would prefer to go to the market and see what people genuinely think it's worth and then come to you and say, what do you want to do? Bearing in mind, they might still keep a little bit up their sleeve. I'm not alarmed by low offers because you're not going to take it anyway. But if you're on the market for 2 weeks and people come through and they go, yeah, we like it, we'll let you know, we'll have a look around. They don't have the same urgency. And then you're scratching your head going, okay, I'm negotiable to come down, but how much? And you don't know how much you're going to come down, and your agent doesn't either. So it's a race to the bottom, and it's not as genuine from people that are actually coming through that are comparing to other homes comparable to yourself.
Okay. The marketing, we think that's a bit expensive.
Okay.
Yeah. Just the cost of it all, if we were going to get to 1.1, there's the commission and the marketing.
Yeah.
It was looking to be about 35,000.
Yeah.
Could you include the marketing in maybe the fee that you charge?
Unfortunately, that's not something I offer. No, I mean, with a team of you're getting 4 people for the same sort of commission and the market share and the ability to expose you to so many buyers. We meet 110 buyers on a weekend. It's not something that is part of our package. So the advertising is probably not going to differ too much against different agents apart from our auction and our building and pest that we'd recommend you to do. But that is the framework and the blueprint that I can demonstrate has worked on the last hundreds of sales. So what we do and how we put it together is where the results are.
Okay. I understand there's no movement really on the advertising. I guess what I'm trying to say is we'd probably be interested in working with you and your team, but one of the other agents who was also really good, who gave us a lot of confidence, they said that they would do it for 2.2% and your commission's obviously where it is there. I don't know, what does it say? 2.75?
Sure.
Including GST?
Yeah.
Would you match that? And then
was there a reason why they came in lower? Was it because they knew other agents were coming in and sort of...
Yeah, well, we just asked if they could lower their commission, and they said that they'd do it for that.
Look, I think, again, other agents are coming to the table. They're going to have different beliefs in what they're worth. I'd hesitate to think that for the team of 4 and the market share that we have and the results that we have, that you would get the same result or have the same representation for that fee. We are always happy to talk about commission and talk about the value proposition. However, I do always hesitate at someone that comes in straight off the bat and is offering you a deal or offering you marketing and things like that, maybe out of fear or maybe out of not being able to demonstrate what they can do or what they've done with other clients to, have that confidence as well. And same with the price conversation, people that are coming in trying to get you to pick them because their fee's lower or their appraisal is higher is potentially a lack in belief that they can deliver you the result that's going to make you happy at the end of the day anyway.
I like your confidence. I think we'll go ahead.
I think you should.
Awesome. That was so good. I love
I
some
did not
scripts
want
and
to do a
dialogue.
full auction pitch off the bat. Oh my God. That's not how I would ever do a listing pitch.
It was gold. We've never had that. So it was...
Cut that.
No, we've never had an auction pitch. So
that's not my auction pitch anyway. I've started so skewed.
It was just a pitch of something.
Anyway.
But there was heaps of gold in there and I loved it. So thank you for sharing some great scripts and dialogues with it. Everyone listening is going to love that stuff. That's all we've got time for. Thank you for your journey, your wisdom, and at the end there, those great scripts and dialogues. That was really entertaining. It was a great interview. I appreciate you coming all the way in and your time. I know you're a very busy lady. I wish you all the success and look forward to having you back again on the Get Keen. Thanks, Angela.
Thank you. See you later.
Woo! Fist bump. Thank you for tuning into the Get Keen podcast. If today's episode inspired you, please show your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And make sure you subscribe on your favorite platform too. Don't stop there. Join our community of forward thinkers by connecting with me on social media at Dan_Lee_Plum. I'm looking forward to exploring more strategies and insights with you on your journey to the top. Until next time, keep getting keen.